Mars is a planet ready for life. In 20 hours, 6 astronauts will travel to Mars, not to visit, but to live there.
The dream of humanity reaching beyond Earth has always carried a strange mixture of wonder and loneliness. For generations, science fiction imagined brave astronauts planting flags on distant worlds, building colonies beneath alien skies, and discovering what it truly means to be human when separated from the planet that gave birth to civilization. Yet few modern films approached that idea through the emotional lens of youth, identity, love, and belonging, quite like The Space Between Us. Released in 2017, but set against the backdrop of a futuristic vision of space exploration, the film transformed an interplanetary adventure into something far more intimate. The story of a boy born on Mars who dreams of understanding Earth, family, and the meaning of connection itself. At the center of the story is Gardner Elliot, a teenager unlike any other human being in history. Born during the first mission to colonize Mars, Gardner becomes the first person ever raised on another planet. His existence itself is a miracle, but also a secret. Scientists fear the consequences of revealing that a child was born so far away from Earth, especially because no one truly understands how the human body can survive after developing under Martian gravity. While the mission was originally designed to symbolize humanity's future among the stars, Gardner's birth creates a complicated ethical dilemma that changes everything. His mother, astronaut Sarah Elliot, dies shortly after bringing him into the world, leaving Gardner to grow up surrounded not by family, but by scientists, engineers, and machines. From the moment the film begins, there is an overwhelming sense of isolation surrounding Gardner's life. Mars is visually breathtaking, with endless red deserts stretching beneath distant horizons and futuristic habitats glowing against the darkness of space. Yet beneath that beauty lies emotional emptiness. Gardner grows up without ever touching rain, feeling wind on his skin, or walking among crowds of people. Every experience that defines ordinary life on Earth becomes something mythical to him. The scientists who raise him genuinely care about his safety, but they cannot replace the warmth of human connection that Gardner secretly craves. He spends much of his youth staring at images of Earth through computer screens, fascinated by oceans, cities, forests, and all the small details most people take for granted. The emotional core of the film begins to take shape when Gardner forms an online friendship with Tulsa, a rebellious and intelligent teenage girl living in Colorado. Their conversations become Gardner's escape from the cold routines of Mars. Tulsa herself is lonely in a different way. Growing up in foster care and moving between unstable homes, she carries emotional scars and a deep mistrust of authority. Yet, despite the distance between them, Gardner and Tulsa understand each other. Both feel disconnected from the world around them. Both long for something more meaningful. Through late-night conversations, jokes, shared dreams, and confessions about their fears, they slowly build a bond that transcends the impossible physical distance between Earth and Mars. What makes the relationship compelling is how innocent and genuine it feels. Gardner views Earth with childlike awe, while Tulsa sees it through the eyes of someone who has suffered within it. Their perspectives constantly contrast with one another. To Gardner, Earth is magical. To Tulsa, it can be cruel and disappointing. That tension becomes one of the film's most important themes, the idea that people often dream about places or lives they do not fully understand. Gardner imagines Earth as paradise, but Tulsa understands that beauty and pain always coexist. Eventually, circumstances force the scientists on Mars to reveal Gardner's existence to the world. The revelation shocks humanity. Suddenly, the boy born on another planet becomes a global sensation. Scientists and corporations see him as proof that humanity can truly colonize space, while governments fear the political and biological implications of his existence. Gardner is transported to Earth under strict supervision, but the transition is far more dangerous than anyone expected. Because he developed under Martian gravity, his body struggles to adapt to Earth's stronger gravitational pull. Even simple movements become physically exhausting. His heart, muscles, and bones were never designed for Earth's environment. The scenes depicting Gardner's arrival on Earth are among the most emotionally powerful in the film. For the first time in his life, he experiences sunlight directly against his skin. He feels rain falling from the sky. He sees vast landscapes stretching far beyond the enclosed corridors of Mars habitats. Every sensation overwhelms him with wonder. Ordinary things become extraordinary through Gardner's perspective. A horse running through an open field, water moving through rivers, crowds gathering in busy streets, all of it feels miraculous because he has spent his entire life separated from such experiences. Yet beneath the excitement lies tragedy. Gardner quickly realizes that Earth may never truly accept him. His body continues to deteriorate under the strain of gravity, and the medical team monitoring him warns that prolonged exposure could kill him. This creates a heartbreaking contradiction at the center of the story. Gardner spent his whole life dreaming about Earth, but now that he has finally reached it, he may not survive there. Planet he loves could become the reason for his death. Despite constant supervision, Gardner escapes the research facility to finally meet Tulsa in person. Their first encounter captures the awkwardness and emotional intensity of two teenagers who know each other deeply yet have never physically met. Gardner approaches the world with curiosity and honesty, while Tulsa masks vulnerability behind sarcasm and defiance. Together, they embark on a journey across America, searching not only for Gardner's father, but also for a sense of belonging neither of them has ever fully experienced. As the story unfolds, the search for Gardner's father becomes symbolic of his larger quest for identity. Growing up without parents left Gardner with endless unanswered questions. Who was his father? Why was he absent? Did he ever care about him? The mystery drives Gardner forward because understanding his origins means understanding himself. For someone raised in isolation on another planet, the concept of family carries enormous emotional weight. He longs to know whether he truly belongs anywhere at all. The film balances science fiction spectacle with intimate emotional storytelling. There are moments filled with futuristic technology, space travel, and corporate intrigue, yet the heart of the narrative always remains deeply human. Gardner's experiences reflect universal feelings familiar to many people: loneliness, insecurity, first love, and the desperate desire to find one's place in the world. Even though his circumstances are extraordinary, his emotions feel relatable. He is essentially a teenager trying to understand life while carrying the impossible burden of being unique in all of human history. Visually, the film creates a striking contrast between Mars and Earth. Mars is portrayed with clean metallic interiors, sterile laboratories, and endless barren landscapes colored in shades of red and orange. Everything feels controlled, calculated, and isolated. Earth, by comparison, feels chaotic and alive. Forests move with wind, cities pulse with energy, and oceans stretch infinitely toward distant horizons. Gardner's emotional reaction to Earth's beauty becomes contagious for the audience because the film encourages viewers to appreciate ordinary life through fresh eyes. One of the film's strongest ideas involves the emotional cost of exploration. Humanity often romanticizes space travel as an adventure filled with discovery and progress, but the film asks what sacrifices accompany that ambition. Gardner's existence is itself the result of human curiosity pushing beyond ethical and emotional boundaries. He becomes both a symbol of hope and a victim of circumstance. The scientists who raise him genuinely care about him, yet they also view him as an experiment tied to the future of space colonization. This duality creates moral tension throughout the story. Is Gardner a child who deserves freedom and love, or is he humanity's greatest scientific achievement? The relationship between Gardner and the scientist Kendra Windham becomes particularly important in exploring these themes. Kendra serves as the closest thing Gardner has to a mother figure. She protects him fiercely and struggles with the responsibility of balancing scientific duty against emotional attachment. Her bond with Gardner reveals the ethical complexity of raising a child in an artificial environment designed primarily for research and survival. She understands better than anyone how fragile Gardner's existence truly is. Meanwhile, Tulsa's role evolves beyond simple romance. She becomes Gardner's guide to Earth, introducing him to both its beauty and its pain. Through her, Gardner experiences rebellion, spontaneity, and emotional honesty. Tulsa herself changes through their relationship as well. Gardner's innocence challenges her cynical worldview, reminding her that hope still exists despite her difficult upbringing. Together, they represent two lost souls trying to heal each other while navigating circumstances far larger than themselves. As the journey continues, Gardner's physical condition worsens. The emotional tension intensifies because every joyful moment on Earth comes with the knowledge that his body may not endure much longer. Scenes that initially feel uplifting gradually gain a layer of sadness. Gardner races across deserts, swims in lakes, and stares at stars above Earth's skies with overwhelming happiness. Yet the audience constantly senses the fragile mortality beneath his excitement. His dream is finally coming true at the exact moment it threatens to disappear forever. The search for Gardner's father eventually leads to revelations that reshape his understanding of his past. Without revealing every detail, the truth emphasizes one of the film's central messages. Family is not defined solely by biology. Gardner's real connections come from the people who genuinely care about him, protect him, and choose to stand beside him despite fear and uncertainty. The emotional resolution focuses less on scientific achievement and more on human relationships.
The performances throughout the film help ground its more fantastical elements. Asa Butterfield delivers Gardner with remarkable sincerity, capturing both intellectual curiosity and emotional vulnerability. His portrayal avoids turning the character into a cliché genius or awkward alien figure. Instead, Gardner feels believable as a lonely teenager, overwhelmed by experiences most people never question. Butterfield's subtle performance allows audiences to connect emotionally with Gardner's innocence and longing. Britt Robertson brings energy and emotional depth to Tulsa, balancing toughness with hidden vulnerability. Her chemistry with Butterfield gives the film much of its emotional warmth. Tulsa could easily have become a stereotypical rebellious character, but Robertson's performance adds layers of pain, humor, and compassion that make her feel authentic. Gary Oldman portrays Nathaniel Shepard, the ambitious head of the aerospace corporation responsible for the Mars mission. His character represents humanity's relentless drive towards progress and achievement, even when ethical lines become blurred. Oldman brings authority and complexity to the role, ensuring Nathaniel never feels entirely villainous, despite his morally questionable decisions. The film also explores the media frenzy surrounding Gardner's existence. Once the world learns about him, he becomes an object of fascination. News outlets, corporations, and the public all project their hopes and fears onto him. In many ways, Gardner loses the ability to simply exist as an ordinary person. This aspect of the story reflects modern society's obsession with spectacle and celebrity. Gardner is simultaneously admired, studied, and exploited because he represents something unprecedented. At its heart, however, the story remains deeply romantic. Gardner and Tulsa's relationship captures the intensity of first love, especially the way young people often believe connection can overcome impossible obstacles. Their bond develops through shared loneliness and mutual understanding. They are not simply attracted to each other, they recognize parts of themselves in one another. Gardner sees Tulsa as his connection to humanity, while Tulsa sees Gardner as proof that innocence and hope still survive in a world she had nearly given up on. The title itself, The Space Between Us, operates on multiple levels. It refers literally to the vast physical distance between Earth and Mars, but it also symbolizes emotional distance between people. The film constantly explores the invisible barriers separating individuals: loneliness, trauma, fear, and isolation. Gardner and Tulsa attempt to bridge those gaps through empathy and love. The title suggests that connection itself may be humanity's greatest challenge, even more difficult than traveling between planets. The soundtrack further strengthens the emotional atmosphere. Gentle piano melodies, sweeping orchestral arrangements, and modern indie songs create a dreamy tone that enhances the feeling of wonder and melancholy throughout the film. Music becomes essential in conveying Gardner's emotional experience, especially during scenes where he encounters Earth's beauty for the first time. The score emphasizes both excitement and sadness, reminding viewers that every joyful moment is shadowed by uncertainty. Critically, the film received mixed reactions upon release. Some viewers praised its emotional sincerity and unique premise, while others criticized certain scientific inaccuracies and melodramatic elements. Yet, over time, the film developed appreciation among audiences who connected with its emotional themes. Rather than focusing entirely on realism, the story prioritizes emotional truth. It uses science fiction not as a technical exercise, but as a metaphorical framework for exploring adolescence, identity, and human connection. The concept of a child born on Mars naturally raises fascinating scientific questions as well. Real-world experts have long debated whether humans could survive reproduction and development in low-gravity environments. The film imagines these possibilities while acknowledging the biological dangers involved. Gardner's physical struggles on Earth reflect genuine concerns scientists have discussed regarding long-term space colonization. Although dramatized for storytelling purposes, the film grounds its emotional narrative within plausible scientific anxieties about humanity's future beyond Earth. The story also taps into humanity's enduring fascination with space exploration. Mars has long represented both hope and mystery within science fiction. Unlike distant galaxies filled with alien civilizations, Mars feels close enough to seem achievable. It represents the next great frontier. By centering the story around a child rather than astronauts or soldiers, the film reframes space exploration through a more personal perspective. Instead of asking whether humans can reach Mars, it asks what kind of emotional lives future generations might experience if born far from Earth. There is also an undercurrent of existential loneliness throughout the narrative. Gardner is technically human, yet he constantly feels separate from humanity itself. Mars shaped his body and identity in ways no one else can fully understand. Even among people, he remains isolated by his uniqueness. This mirrors the emotional experience many teenagers feel during adolescence, the fear that no one truly understands them. Gardner's extraterrestrial origins become a heightened metaphor for universal alienation. As the story moves towards its emotional climax, the tension between survival and freedom becomes increasingly heartbreaking. The adults surrounding Gardner want to protect him, but protection often means confinement. Gardner himself understands the risks, yet refuses to spend his life imprisoned by fear. He would rather experience Earth briefly than never experience it at all. This perspective gives the film emotional maturity beneath its youthful romance. Life gains meaning not through safety alone, but through connection, experience, and the courage to pursue what matters, despite uncertainty. The final moments of the story carry bittersweet emotional weight. Rather than delivering a purely triumphant conclusion, the film embraces themes of sacrifice, acceptance, and emotional growth. Gardner's journey changes everyone around him. The scientists reconsider the ethical consequences of their ambitions. Tulsa learns to trust and love again. Even the corporate figures driving space exploration confront the human cost of their dreams. Gardner himself ultimately discovers that belonging is not tied to geography or biology alone. Home is defined by the people who care about you. What continues to make The Space Between Us memorable years after its release is its sincerity. In an era where science fiction often focuses on apocalyptic warfare, artificial intelligence, or dystopian politics, the film chooses emotional intimacy instead. It tells a quiet story about loneliness, wonder, and first love against the backdrop of humanity's greatest frontier. The science fiction elements enhance the emotional themes rather than overshadowing them. The film also resonates because it reflects modern anxieties about isolation in a technologically connected world. Gardner and Tulsa initially form their relationship entirely through screens and digital communication, something increasingly familiar in contemporary society. Despite living on different planets, they create genuine emotional intimacy. Yet the story ultimately emphasizes the importance of physical presence, touch, and shared experiences. Technology can connect people across impossible distances, but emotional fulfillment still depends on real human connection. There is something deeply poetic about Gardner's perspective on Earth. Because he grew up separated from ordinary life, he notices beauty others ignore. He marvels at sunsets, laughter, music, and movement with pure fascination. Through his eyes, the audience is reminded how extraordinary human existence actually is. The film quietly encourages viewers to appreciate the simple experiences often taken for granted. Breathing fresh air, feeling rain, standing beneath open skies, or simply being close to another person. Even the flaws within the film contribute to its charm for many viewers. Its emotional earnestness feels refreshing in a cinematic landscape often dominated by cynicism and irony. The story genuinely believes in hope, love, and the possibility of connection